And in this video, I'm going to give you 4 tips that you can immediately implement that will drastically decrease how much you sound like a salesperson that's trying to sell something. But first, let's talk about why this one change can have such a big impact. The prospects that you're trying to sell to are getting sold to all day, every day. And because of this, your prospects are likely operating with a level of guardedness. And as soon as you sound like just another salesperson that's trying to sell something, you will increase this level of guardedness. So these 4 tips will not only help you to avoid triggering more guardedness, these tips will actually help you to decrease the level of your prospect's guardedness. And it starts with talking less about the product that you sell and the company that you work for. Because all of those salespeople that you're competing with, they are talking about, this is the company I work for, this is what we sell, this is what it does, these are our different packages. Are you interested in buying my product? Do you need the product that I sell? And this is the approach that I believe 90% or more of salespeople use. And I refer to this as really the traditional old school selling. I often refer to this as product pushing, product selling. And if I were to use this approach for my product, I might call you and say something like, I'm with SalesScripter, and we provide a software application that generates sales scripts and also has a full CRM and email automation. I'd like to schedule a meeting with you to show you a demo of our software. This is me talking about my product and talking about my company, and this is an example of me sounding like a salesperson that's trying to sell something. So if we can agree that that approach is likely to trigger more guardedness, then if we talk less about the product that we sell and the company that we work for, then we can assume that we will trigger less guardedness. And if there's less guardedness, we will face less resistance. Then we'll have to face less objections and less rejection. And if we can do that, not only will we likely sell more, but selling will be easier and there will be less anxiety. And in some ways, selling can become more fun. So you may hear that and think, well, if I don't talk about my product and company, what am I going to talk about? And here's the trick. Instead of talking about the product you sell, talk about the value that you have to offer. Not only will this decrease how much you talk about your product and company, by talking more about the value that you have to deliver, you're going to increase talking about what the prospect really cares about. Because at the end of the day, your prospect does not really care about your product. What they care about is what's in it for me. And so when you're a product pushing salesperson and you're going out and you're talking about the product you sell and what it does, this does not answer the question, what's in it for me, for your prospect. What your prospect cares about is how can your product improve things for your prospect? This is the value that your product has to deliver. Now, this might be easier said than done, and we actually have a sales message brainstorming process that at the core of it is a step that helps you to identify the optimum set of improvements to talk about for the product and service you sell. And I'm actually not going to show you that process in this video because we've done that in many other videos. I'll include a link to a video that will take you through that process in the description. But if I skip ahead to the value brainstorming step of that process, what we actually do is we actually take details about the product, the details that most salespeople are going out there and talking about regarding the product they sell and what it does. And what we do is we help you to turn that into the improvements that your product can deliver, and then that becomes your value proposition. If I go from talking about the product and sounding like all the other salespeople, and I replace this with the value that I have to offer and my value proposition, I might open a cold call with something like this. Hello, Tom. This is Michael Halper calling from SalesScripter. Have I caught you in the middle of anything? And then transition to my value proposition to say something like this. Well, great. The reason for my call is we help businesses to get their reps generating more leads, increase sales for every rep on the team, and decrease sales staff turnover. But I don't know if those are areas you want to improve or not. So with that small change, we're either keeping the guard at a medium level or decreasing guardedness and increasing curiosity. And the third way to decrease how much you sound like a salesperson that's trying to sell something is to don't be all about me when you're talking to prospects. Humans are very self-absorbed, and with that, we all care about our own interests. And so when you have a salesperson that is following their natural instinct to talk about what they care about. This leads them to talking more about the product they sell and the company they work for. And so when you communicate in that way, you immediately appear to be a salesperson that's trying to sell something. And if you can stay aware of that, what you can do is you can flip that around to resist your natural instinct to talk about your stuff and instead make it all about the prospect's interests. Not only will that help you to create more engaging conversations and help you to get the prospect's attention, but it will decrease how much you sound like a salesperson at the same time. And you could hear that previous tip and think that makes sense, but how do I do that? It's really simple. All you have to do to make it about the prospect is ask good questions. If you replace moments talking about you and your product and company and replace that with asking questions about the prospect, you completely change the conversation to be about them. And not only does this decrease how much you sound like a salesperson that's trying to sell something, but it will also help you to learn more about your prospect, find opportunities, and be better at qualifying. And you may say, okay, well, that makes sense too. Okay, I'll just ask more questions. But you still might not know what questions to ask. Well, our sales message brainstorming process will actually lead you to creating an optimum set of questions to ask for the product or service that you sell. And the process helps you to create pain questions based on the pain points that your product or service can help to solve. The process also leads you to creating a second set of questions, which we refer to as current state questions, which these are questions that will help you to learn about what's going on the prospect side in the area where you have something to sell. Where your product selling salespeople at the front end of a cold call are talking about all the details about their product, what you can do is replace that by asking pain questions or current state questions, and that will decrease how much you sound like a salesperson that's trying to sell something. So I hope these 4 tips help you to get ideas about how to improve your sales efforts. And if you do want to implement these, we used this sales message brainstorming process, and each of these steps creates these sets of bullet points, and then each set of bullet points creates what we refer to as building blocks. And then you can mix and match those building blocks to create a lot of different sales tools like your cold call script, an appointment script, create your objection responses, create an email campaign or email messages, voicemail messages, and a whole lot more. Now that logic of creating those building blocks and mixing and matching those to create a lot of different documents is actually how our software of Sales Scripter works. The software will take you through that same sales message brainstorming process to brainstorm the value your product delivers, the pain points you solve, and the questions you can ask. And when you have your sales message in the software, then the software uses your message to create all those different building blocks and then mixes and matches those building blocks to provide you with sales scripts, email templates, voicemail messages, and more. And these sales scripts are actually designed to decrease how much you sound like a salesperson that's trying to sell something. This first script right here, value intro, this script puts your value points, your pain questions, and your current state questions at the beginning and first half of the cold call. And then towards the end of the cold call is where you can share your product details, customer example, and then go for the close. The email templates do this as well. These email templates are built around the building blocks, primarily using a building block for each email template. Email 1, value message, pain message, customer example, and towards the end of the email campaign, we get to the product details. The average salesperson is sending product message as their first message. This is who I work for. This is what I sell. Do you need what I sell? We're getting to that towards the end of the email campaign in email 5. Again, helping you to decrease how much you sound like a salesperson that's trying to sell something. And that is pretty much it. If you want more information or more tips, the best place to go is salescriptor.com. Thanks for being here, and we look forward to seeing you on the next video. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.